Hello, my name is Erin Merrihew, and I want to share with you about my Overcoming Codependency program. This is a healing program that I created based on my own struggles with codependency. Now, I've always known that I had this tendency to kind of try to rescue other people from their own emotional distress, to feel really uncomfortable when other people wouldn't calm down or stabilize if they were in distress, and just in general kind of self-abandoning, leaving my own experience and jumping to other people's experiences and trying to get involved and fix it. And I knew that these patterns weren't serving me. They didn't feel authentic to me. And so in my own work to overcome my own codependency, I realized that a lot of my clients also really struggled with these same patterns of people-pleasing and self-abandoning and rescuing and fixing. And it was really at a huge cost to the quality of their relationships in their life and their overall well-being. So I put together a set of tools and an experiential journey to really help people understand how codependency works, where it comes from, how to identify it in themselves, and go on a path of healing this from the inside out to really experience deeper relationships, more meaningful experiences in relationship, and just overall to have a greater sense of being their true self in their connections. So I want to share with you a little bit more about this program. I want to kind of contextualize here. The program has two kinds of sessions. So we have learning sessions, which are the sessions where I'll really be delivering new curriculum, introducing you to new concepts and tools. We'll be walking through handouts together and doing some demos and practice in session. And then we have group coaching calls. Now, there are fewer group coaching calls. They are about every other week or so throughout the program. And this is where we hop on and we explore live scenarios where people are struggling with codependency in their real life. And I do targeted coaching for these individuals. We support each other with how this stuff is showing up in our lives and really get kind of an organic exploration of the materials, not so much learning and hands-on, but really experiencing together how the tools can be applied and how they can create a shift. So I want to walk you through the learning session topics so to give you a sense of what's included in the program. So session 1 is called Codependency Explained, and this is where we cover the basics of codependency. What is it? What's my definition? What are the telltale signs? How might you identify it in your own experience? Because honestly, this is kind of a blind spot for a lot of us. It's so culturally normalized for us to problem solve and fix and kind of latch on and merge to someone else's experience that we often don't even realize we're doing it. So we learn about codependency, how it works, how to identify it in ourselves. And then in session 2, we're talking about facing your codependency fears. So this is a session where we look at what is the driver behind your unique codependency map. All of us, we may have similar symptoms of codependency, but often the drivers and what's kind of moving us toward those behaviors is really different for each person. So it's a way to look at where is our codependency coming from, how can we catch it in the act, and then what might be kind of a baby step that would take us toward our healing. In session 3, we're talking about blueprints for true connection. So this is where we look at some of the relationship contracts we may have made without even realizing it, kind of the guiding principles of our core relationships and how those might not be serving us anymore. And we really explore bringing that into our conscious awareness and starting to make new guidelines for our relationships, letting go of that kind of codependent way of building relationships and interacting and creating some new contracts for ourselves that really give us that blueprint for a real sense of connection. In session 4, we're talking about pattern shifting in relationships. So this is kind of piggybacking on the previous session. This is really looking at when we're in relationship and we want to stay in relationship with someone, but we notice these codependent tendencies coming up. How do we start to shift that? And how do we do that in a loving way, but in a direct way, and without, sacrificing the trust in the relationship as we go? So it's a great session to kind of evaluate where you are in your connections in your life and maybe get a sense of how to move forward in a way that's more honoring of your authentic truth without burning bridges along the way. Session 5 is called Bringing Realness, and this is where we really practice the skills that are interrupting the pattern of codependency. So codependency is so much about kind of abandoning our own experience, focusing on getting the other person back to emotional stability. And so we often aren't practicing the skills of like rocking the boat, telling our truth, sitting with somebody else's discomfort, saying that awkward or uncomfortable thing, and being in connection as we navigate through that. So bringing realness is all about rocking the boat and building some resilience around the skills and kind of strengthening those muscles of being authentic in our relationships. Session 6 is called Meeting Intensity in Others. So as you can imagine, in session 5, we start to put to practice more authentic ways of being, and we're going to receive some pushback. It's going to be kind of an interruption in the way things have been going in a lot of our relationships. And so we need some tools for different ways that we can meet other people's discomfort in relation to what we share with them. So this is a great session that really equips us with some great ideas, some options for how we might be with the people in our lives when they do experience emotional intensity around something that we're sharing with them, without falling back into those codependent patterns that we are so interested in shifting. Session 7 is called Heartfelt Accountability. So this is where we really talk about, how do we gauge what we need to be accountable to, and how do we hold other people accountable? This is such an important skill in our relationships, and it helps us really have authentic connections. And a lot of us never got any education in this. So we're looking at what accountability looks like, how to really step into that for ourselves, and how to encourage that in the people in our lives as well. The next session is called Office Hours, and this is a session that I include in the program that's kind of an open Q&A. You can picture like you're coming to my office, we're having a chat, you're asking any questions, things that aren't making sense in the program, challenges that you're having with the materials, and it's just a great chance to kind of check in, see how everything is landing, and have people ask questions so that we can really make sure everyone's on board as we move forward in the program. The next session is called Embracing the Real You, and this is where we really start to map what does it look like to be true to ourselves. And obviously this is a through line in the whole program, but this is really where that work culminates, and it's going to give you some guidance around some specific tools you can rely on to come back to that kind of guiding principle, that compass of genuine authenticity as you are practicing the other tools and kind of forging this new path of interdependent relationships. Now, the final session is called Sustaining Interdependence, and this is basically just me sending you off with a final set of tools that's going to help you remember how to use all the tools we've already practiced. So often we get through to this session and people are like, how do I use this in the real world? How do I not forget everything that I've learned here? Because it can be so transformational. And then we get to the other side and, we sort of just forget to practice it in real life, or we fall out of practice. So this session is really giving you that push you need to keep the work going after the program ends, and to feel confident that you're going to be able to keep making progress long after we leave the container of the program. So this program is a great fit for anyone who just kind of wants an upgrade in their relationships. Maybe their relationships feel like they kind of skate on the surface, or it feels like, you fall so often into that pattern of rescuing or feeling stressed by other people's uncomfortable emotions that it's really hard for you to relax into connections and to be who you really are. Maybe you even find that you struggle to take up space in relationships, that it often feels like you're kind of the giver in relationships, and you don't receive as much from your connections as you give. All of those signals about relationship and kind of how you're relating might be an indicator that this program is a really good fit for you, that can help you bring awareness to your codependent tendencies and really start to get on track with not only understanding what it would look like to be authentic, but actually practicing that in your relationships and growing resilience to keep doing that for years to come. So if this program speaks to you, if you kind of feel a call inside like, oh yeah, I think I struggle with codependency and I think I'm ready to do some work on that and to get some support in that area, please reach out, ask me questions, register. I would love to have you. It's a really supportive community environment. I try to be as inclusive as possible and really create a space where we can go deep together, explore vulnerable aspects of ourselves, and really transform and grow in this container. All right, I look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions, and I would love to see you in the program. Take care.